You saw the title. Yes, some of the safest rental markets are the riskiest for your wallet. Here's why. Sky-high prices with sub-5% yields mean one tiny bump in rates or insurance and your cash flow faceplants. In places like San Mateo and Alameda counties, yields hover near the 3%–4% range. Let that sink in. We're counting down 10 markets on the verge of collapse for investors, plus 2 spots that quietly print better numbers. We'll show you where rents softened, where incentives are creeping in, and why Riverside's near 9% gross yield flips the script. First up, a city with high rent and lower math. Number 10, San Francisco. High rent, lower math. How can a city with sky-high rents still fail your spreadsheet? Simple. Price tags outrun rent checks. The logo on the skyline doesn't pay the note. Your cap rate nods, then slides. Here's the thing. You pay a premium for a postcard tech jobs, dense amenities, a brand name zip code that sells before you list it, coffee on the corner, transit on the block, and a median home price near $1.6 million that acts like a luxury import. Nice lifestyle. Tough math. So, what's the trade-off? Median prices dwarf rents, pushing yields into sub-5% territory. San Mateo County sits around 3.3%, and Alameda around 3.8%. One rate bump, and debt service eats your lunch. Insurance rises, fees creep, and your cushion turns to tissue. Let that sink in. Take that $1.6 million duplex. Rent control slows resets. Insurance steps up. Then layer a right-to-counsel program that boosts tenant representation to about 45% and correlates with the region's lowest default rate, roughly 27%. Stability is great for the city. It's slower for your turn. Non-payment drives most filings across the Bay. With more counsel, defaults drop and timelines stretch. You stay whole more often, but you don't move fast. That matters when your loan clock ticks. Vacancy isn't exploding, but high-end units are dangling concessions. Rents slipped statewide this year, about a mid-single-digit drop, with double-digit cuts in some pockets. Taxes and maintenance never blink. The spread shrinks, even when doors stay full. Mini payoff. Long-time owners with low debt cruise. New buyers wobble. Negative leverage is the quiet collapse. Your rate beats your yield, and the deal grinds. If that math feels tight, wait until big paychecks meet the same yield trap. Number 9, San Jose. Tech paychecks, thin spreads. Different city, same math problem, but with a twist. Big salaries don't save your cash flow when purchase prices act like luxury sports cars. The paycheck sizzles, the yield wheezes. Here's the thing. Jobs, schools, and the hardware-software mix sell you safety. Enterprise teams, clean parks, and master-planned streets make it feel like a sure bet. But the buy-in price is the whole plot, and it writes your return before you get keys. Now the kicker. You'll hear Santa Clara County penciling a near 9% gross yield in some datasets. On paper, that looks great. In practice, soft rents, higher vacancies, and rising costs compress that number fast. Rents slid hard. Studios are down roughly 11% year over year, and one-bedrooms about 13%, while larger units held a bit better. Smaller units softened more. So the old set-it-and-forget-it script fails. Turnover hits harder when you pay for paint, cleaning, and a vacant month in a building where the elevator hums but the ledger groans. Non-payment dominates filings here. Think on the order of 85 to 97% of notices across Bay cities like Berkeley, Hayward, Mountain View, Oakland, Richmond, and San Jose. Strong protections and detailed timelines stretch the process. You keep order, but you don't move fast. That drag matters when your rate beats your yield. Inventory stays tight, rate relief crawls. The long-term appreciation story still sounds fine if you can float the carry. Otherwise, negative leverage shows up like a fee you forgot to budget. So the mini payoff is simple. San Jose isn't falling apart on demand. It buckles as a cash flow play at today's entry prices. And if brand power tempts you elsewhere, remember, the stage can be packed while the balance sheet whispers no. Number 8, Los Angeles. Here's the thing. Los Angeles gives you a massive tenant pool, an entertainment engine, and neighborhoods with cult followings that rent on name alone. You can fill a unit. You just won't love the spread when the mortgage statement arrives. So what's the trade-off? The price-to-rent ratio stays inflated. Gross yields sit closer to 6% by recent reads, and operating costs creep higher while your rent line stalls. Think buying a vintage sports car, fun to show, pricey to keep running. Inland pockets do better on raw cash flow, but prime submarkets add rent caps, strict inspections, and compliance checklists that eat hours and dollars. One addendum here, one registration there, and your net shrinks even when your gross looks fine. Developers are dangling rent credits and free months on select new deliveries per regional market reports, a sign that lease-ups need sweeteners. Meanwhile, California's statewide average rent dipped to about $2,787, down roughly $13 at the same time insurance, taxes, and repairs trend up. That's a squeeze from both ends, and it's not subtle when your loan rate stays stubborn. Supply hasn't crashed demand, but the higher-end pipeline adds pressure at the margins. Class B holds its audience, yet debt costs can still outpace a 6% gross yield. Full buildings, thin margins. Mini payoff. LA holds demand, but investors risk negative leverage if rates hang high, because your debt can outrun your return and bleed cash each month. If that feels heavy, the next stop trades glamour for sun, and the math doesn't lighten much. Number 7. San Diego. You wanted beach cash flow, you got beach break-even. Here's the thing, demand is real. Defense, biotech, tourism, and the best weather marketing on earth keep units full year-round. You don't chase tenants, they chase shade and a parking spot. Sounds safe. Your lender still wants more than a vibe. So, what's the trade-off? The price base stays high, and then the ground shifts. Taxes tick up. Insurance quotes show new teeth. Each line item grabs a slice until nothing's left on the plate, without clear yield data to contradict it. Call it this: strong occupancy, thin spread, and a debt bill that doesn't blink. New supply moves slow. Entitlements drag. Builders pause on costs. Rents hold better on larger floor plans, while smaller units soften at the edges, enough to dent turnover math when your note is fixed and your paint isn't free. Market feel matters. Inventory improved regionally toward a few months of supply, easing competition a bit, but entry prices still feel premium. Steady rent plus higher carry equals a margin that squeaks when anything breaks. Now the kicker. If you buy on appreciation, you carry another year of risk. One surprise roof or policy tweak, and your pro forma needs a mop. It's like owning a nice boat, fun at the dock, pricey when anything moves. Mini payoff. San Diego rewards patience and low leverage. It punishes new buyers hunting cash flow. And just up the bay, a cheaper than SF pitch tries to fix the math without changing the script. Number 6. Oakland. Cheaper than SF, but is it actually cheap? Not enough to fix the math. The sticker drops a notch, the yield doesn't wake up, you still pay like a coastal player and get a civic center return. Here's the thing, the bones are urban. BART, buses, and a grid that feeds jobs across the bay. Spillover demand shows up with bikes, dogs, and remote badges. You can fill a unit fast. The spreadsheet stays grumpy. Prices sit high for the rent they fetch. Gross yields in Alameda County hover near 3.8% by recent reads. Solid proof this is sub 5% territory. One rate nudge, and your debt service takes the first slice. Fees take the second. Evictions and regional samples lean on non-payment. Legal shields add steps, notices, pauses, and follow-ups. Representation shifts outcomes and stretches timelines across Bay cities, which is good for stability and tough on cash cycles when your loan clock doesn't pause. Rents eased at the edges in line with broader California trends, especially where units need work or concessions pop up nearby. When carrying costs rise and turnover isn't instant, your net shrinks even with doors full. Think used car that needs new tires, then a brake job, then a belt. Mini payoff. Yes, more entry points than the city across the bridge, but if you buy today, a 3.8% gross yield versus a higher interest rate is negative leverage dressed as opportunity. Now take that same math and layer on stricter rent rules and steadier demand just up the line. Great for residents, harder on your pro forma. Number 5. Berkeley. Let's stay local and talk the campus market that looks safe on paper. Berkeley. Protected, pricier, pinched. A college town with rent control and low defaults. Great for tenants, tricky for spreadsheets. Here's the thing. Demand stays steady from students, faculty, and year-round staff. Units near campus and transit turn fast, but new supply crawls thanks to tight zoning and slow approvals. You don't chase leases, you chase margin. Strong protections and slow turnover cap your upside. Long tenures mean fewer resets to market, and acquisition prices still assume the golden years story. That leaves thin yields the day you close, while your lender watches with a stopwatch. Let's break it down. Berkeley tracks eviction notice activity. Across Bay Area cities with data, non-payment dominates, often in the 85 to 97% range. Representation matters. San Francisco's Right to Counsel program pushed default rates down to roughly 27% versus a regional average near 37%. That's humane. And it also means more steps and longer paths to resolution. Stability up, speed down. Even with full buildings, NOI growth lags expenses. Insurance inches up. Utilities creep. Maintenance on older stock doesn't bargain. It's a Honda that needs oil, tires, and the odd sensor, cheap parts, constant visits. Mini payoff. Berkeley won't crash on rent. It quietly erodes new investor returns through thin spreads and slower clocks. If you buy here, you buy time and low leverage, not a quick cash flow win. Now take that same lesson down the coast to a place where ocean blocks add shine, not spread, and where the postcard view still trims a point or two off your yield. Number 4. Santa Monica, which lands us in the heart of coastal premium. Santa Monica. Luxury rent. Luxury headaches. 2 blocks from the ocean, 2 points off your yield. Here's the thing. You get a premium location, a premium tenant base, and rules that read like a lab manual. The rent rolls look glossy, the margins don't. This is a blue-chip zip where the invoice arrives early and smiles. Rent caps plus a steep buy-in limit your upside. You don't control the clock on resets, and you don't control the ceiling on increases. You do control the check you write to close. And that number sets the tone for years. With LA County gross yields hovering closer to 6% by recent reads, Santa Monica's price to rent still leans tight, and that's before fees and carry. New construction, expensive and slow. Entitlements drag, fees stack, and delays stretch pro formas. Class A gets soft first when owners toss a free month or parking to keep heads in beds. Class B holds longer, but it still follows when the top tier flinches. Regional reports flag incentives on select coastal LA lease-ups, a tell that absorption needs help. Meanwhile, smaller units have softened the most, studios down about 10.9% year over year, and one-bedrooms off roughly 12.9%. That hits blended portfolios, especially when turnover lands during slower seasons. Vendors raise rates. Compliance adds steps. Net operating income takes the punch because every line item wants a tip now. It's like a luxury car with run-flat tires. Great ride, pricey every time a warning light blinks. Mini payoff, safe on paper, fragile on payments. Next up, a master plan darling where everything runs on time except your target cash on cash. Number 3. Irvine. Master planned, margin thin. Everything works in Irvine, except the part where your return beats your costs. Streets line up, schools ace tests, and your spreadsheet still shrugs. Here's the thing. Placemaking is tight. Master-planned parks, tidy paths, and corporate campuses make daily life smooth. Low crime, strict rules, and clean lines sell order. That piece is real. The yield isn't. But here's the twist. HOA fees stack on top of already high dues, and new build premiums push your basis even higher. The story you're sold is appreciation. The story your bank reads is monthly spread. Rents stay steady, great tenants, few calls, but the purchase price to rent ratio pins your return low, and even near zero turnover costs won't bridge that gap. You save on paint and vacancy, not on principal and interest. Let's break it down. Southern California inventory sits around 3.5 to 4 months of supply, still a seller-leaning setup, while mortgage rates drift down slowly. High-price pockets keep yields tight because the rent line doesn't sprint when the asset cost sprints. It's a luxury watch that keeps perfect time and never goes on sale. Now, the kicker. Investors here rely on perfection. No special assessment, no surprise roof, no rate spike. Real life adds one of those every year, sometimes two. Mini payoff. Irvine delivers stable living with thin investor margins. You get order on the ground and pressure on the note. And just north, another badge-heavy hub trades on stability too. Strong tenants, tight inventory, and returns that still lag the debt. Number 2. Santa Clara. Santa Clara. corporate campuses, corporate margins. Your tenant's badge scans daily. Your cash flow doesn't. Here's the thing. This is enterprise land. Engineers, badges, and steady paychecks. Inventory stays thin, and the stock that does hit the market wears a tech premium. You pay up to get in. Let's break it down. Some datasets project Santa Clara County near a 9% gross yield. On paper, that sounds strong. In practice, unit mix, concessions on select buildings, and operating costs decide what you actually bank. When your portfolio skews smaller, the top line takes a hit first. How much? Recent reads show studios down about 10.9% year over year, and one-bedrooms off roughly 12.9%, while larger units hold better. If your plan leans small, your blended rent slips while your note stays loud. Process matters too. Bay Area representation rates vary and shape outcomes, around 4% in San Mateo versus roughly 45% in San Francisco. More counsel tends to lower default rates and stretch timelines. Non-payment still drives most filings in cities that report data, but the path runs longer, which drags cash timing even when outcomes land. Vacancy is low. Yes, but the gap between headline yields and real-world nets can narrow fast once you add taxes, insurance, maintenance, and any compliance steps. Think high-end treadmill, smooth, reliable, and going nowhere fast while you tap the speed button. Mini payoff, great credit tenants, careful math required. If you want cash flow that holds without perfect conditions, you look where the rent-to-price ratio does more of the heavy lifting. Here's the twist. Number 1. Riverside, the inland exception. 9%-ish gross yields actually show up here, not just in a spreadsheet. Research tags Riverside County near the top of California for gross yield about 9%, which puts real air between your rent and your note. Here's the thing. Riverside runs on logistics, warehousing, and service work that feeds those hubs. Family renters show up with steady paychecks and longer leases. Prices don't need a trust fund, and that lowers your entry risk from day one. It's not perfect. Commute times run long, and some tracts post higher crime than you want. But the math smiles when the median home price sits well under the coast, around $661,000, while average rents hover near $2,469 a month. You trade ocean views for a ledger that breathes. Let's break it down. That price-to-rent pairing sets your gross yield near the top of the state without lottery luck. Inland Southern California tends to post the strongest gross yields by the research, and Riverside is the headline case. Inventory is improving, but not flooding the market. Fewer bidding wars, more choice, no glut. Pricing stays rational enough to pencil, and you're not bribing every renewal with a free month just to keep pace. Now the kicker. When rates wobble, this is where cash flow holds. Concessions stay rare outside luxury lease-ups, so your top line doesn't spring leaks every renewal. Call it Honda Civic math. Plain, reliable, cheap to run. Mini payoff. If you want stability, buy where the rent-to-price ratio works. Riverside qualifies. Here's the thing. Think leafy streets, elite schools, and single-family pride where lawns match the hedges and the SUV fleet. You buy into order and prestige. You also buy the bill that comes with it. So, what's the trade-off? County-level reads project gross yields near 9% in Santa Clara. On paper, that sounds strong. But luxury suburbs don't mirror county averages. Purchase prices in top-tier enclaves outrun local rent ceilings, so the rent-to-price ratio tightens and real yields slip below the headline number. Turnover is low. That helps stability and hurts resets. Appreciation has a nice past, sure, but entry today leans on timing and cheap debt. If rates don't fall fast, leverage pushes hard, even if the broader county data looks friendly. Let's break it down. You're not buying a cash machine. You're buying a wealth park. Think museum pass, not arcade tokens. You stroll, you nod, you don't win quarters back. Bay Area yield spread tells the story. Roughly 3.3% in San Mateo on the low end, and a projected 9% in Santa Clara County overall. Luxury pockets tend to sit closer to the pricey tight yield side of that range, even when the county headline runs hot. Do this if your plan is long horizon, low debt, and you value address over income. Otherwise, the math argues back from day one and keeps tapping the brakes as you scale. High price plus low yield equals instability. Coastal charm doesn't pay your debt service, math does. When the rent line trails the mortgage, every renewal feels like a dice roll. Here's the thing. Trophy zips look safe. They drain cash. Do this if you value income over status. Trade the postcard for a 7-9% yield in inland markets like Riverside, and sleep better when rates twitch. Comment yes or nope if you'd swap a trophy zip for real cash flow. Keep it short. Subscribe, because someday you'll want to escape the yield trap. Pick markets where rent checks carry the note. Let appreciation be a bonus, not the plan.